Hey, this is Techno Guy TV here with a review of the Htc Thunderbolt. Now, this was my Christmas present this year, and I thought I'd do a review on it because I really like the phone. So first off, I'm going to start off with the processor. It is a 1 GHz Snapdragon processor, has 768 megabytes of RAM, and it also has a front-facing 1.3 megapixel camera, an 8 megapixel rear camera with dual flash, has kickstand, and your loudspeaker grill is underneath the kickstand. The standard USB cord charger, power button, power lock button, 3.5mm headphone jack, volume rocker, and then on the bottom is your microphone. You also have your standard capacitive Android buttons at the bottom. This device is running the HTC Sense UI, and I think it has to be my favorite. UI out of all the Android devices. I like it better than Moto Blur. I don't know, it's just the most user-friendly, and the feature that I love the most with the Gingerbread update is the fact that it separates the apps in groups instead of you just scrolling through all of them, so you know that you don't skip over any apps. So like, if you're looking for a certain app, you know you'll find it because it separates them into separate groups, kind of like the iPhone. Now first off, you'll notice the screen is huge. We have a 4.3-inch display here, and if you compare it to the iPhone, if you used to have an iPhone or you are an iPhone user, then you will be able to tell a big difference after using this phone and going back to the iPhone, because the screen will look very small to you after using this phone. I think my favorite feature of this phone has to be the 4G LTE radio inside. I've used the LTE before, and I have to tell you, it is very fast. It's faster than my home internet. I'll just open up a speed test app here and show you results from a test I did earlier today. These are a few tests I did earlier. This is probably the most accurate one. I have 21 megabits down, 11 up, and a ping of 110 milliseconds. That's pretty good considering driving down the interstate highway. Very good test scores. It surprised me. One thing I noticed about Android is all the apps for Android seem to always be behind the apps for the iPhone. Like, the Facebook app is always an update or two behind the iPhone, and that goes for most apps that are on both devices. But I really like the Android just because the fact that it's so much more customizable than iOS is, and iOS just gets kind of boring after a while. It's just tiles on a home screen, and this you actually have options for widgets, and you have search, and you can do everything pretty much from your home screen without having to go into menus or anything like that. One thing I did notice about this HTC Thunderbolt device is the battery life. The battery life is not very good at all. I can maybe see 6 hours of battery life if you're lucky. It is, but that goes for most Android devices anyway, so you probably won't have to worry about that. But one thing I really love about this, I don't know how many times I've said this already, is the screen. I mean, this screen is just huge. And I used to be an iPhone user, and going from the iPhone to this is like, when I first got it, the screen felt just a little too big, but now I've come to really like it. And if I go back to use the iPhone again, it just feels way too small in the hands to use. One thing I don't like about Android and this devices is it comes with so much bloatware, so much preloaded apps that you have to go to the App Store and download, and you can't remove them either. That's one thing I don't like about the Android, is because it comes with so many preloaded apps. Overall, I think this is a great phone, unless of course battery life is a deal breaker for you. Then I probably wouldn't go for this phone or any other smartphone, because smartphones are notorious for their terrible battery life. This is the Tech Guy TV, and thank you for watching.